Warriors Unite! Back with another episode of Vega Warriors 2 in the 1% Club. It is snowing. We got snow all over the place here in the Midwest. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are on your purpose. Hope you guys are conquesting yourselves and then therefore conquesting things around you. It is great to be with you. Let's take another topic. Before we do that, let's go ahead and do some shout outs. I think I'm almost caught up. But I will do some over the last couple weeks too. I got to do that too. Roddy, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Artifact, thank you. Knowledge Harvester, as usual, knowledge, thank you. Simulation Tactics, have a friend in Sagar who wants to have a cigar in Denver. If I'm in Denver, my friend, I'll let you know. We'll have a cigar. I love it. Love the idea. Moromoraster 6621, thank you. At YF, thank you, my friend. Gyrojeffro, thank you. Miss you, Loopy, thank you, my friend. Amanverma, thank you. JT creates 1 month, thank you, my friend. Keep it up. Jonathan Sanchez, thank you. I think it's Sanchez, thank you. Raydelavega, thank you. Spiritus, thank you. Samirkhan, thank you. Trashuooo, thank you. Gerry Manning 1, thank you. Redonebug, I think, thank you. Sagar kumar, thank you. Grand Wizard 4 Real, thank you. Mattacosta 482, thank you. Sumitkumar again, thank you, my friend. Colognes X Candle, good to hear from you, my friend. Catlinbn, thank you. WCB04, thank you. Kunalsalyan 22126, thank you. And Relentless Assault, thank you. All right, so at the 2-minute mark, here's our topic. This comes from Miguel, which is a great one of our wonderful viewers. You cannot plant a good tree with a bad seed. Great analogy when it comes to retention and temptation. So let's kind of talk about this a little bit. So we've talked about this before, but I want to kind of break it down a little bit better. So there's 2 aspects of this we'll talk about. First, let's talk about the temptation part, which I suffered through for many years, probably about 47 years of a lot of that stuff. And it wasn't until I started getting back on the right track around 1998 when I was able to get that book, The Fountain of Youth, from Peter Keller, and start understanding about what temptation is and what it does. And of course, then I had a revival as well from a religious standpoint, because I almost committed suicide when I was like 17 years old. And, I kind of came back from all that and trying to go ahead and say, okay, I can be a better person. I can go ahead and change my life around. And so I've been trying to look for those things all these years. So when we look at this idea of temptation is all around us. And what you have to do is you have to have a strong foundation. So this means several things. When it comes to temptation, you cannot fight temptation unless you have a strong base. So the base obviously has to come from something that is not really under your control. Because if you were able to control it, then the temptation, the forces, the evil one, satanic types of things that we're talking about here, the devil, whatever you want to term this energy, this thing that affects us, can get within ourselves and change us and get to the point where we're basically now the slave of this addiction, of this problem. So having the base, having the good seed is the key. And that obviously starts, as we are dealing with on a Sunday, it starts with your relationship with your Creator. Now, in my case, I'm a strong Christian person, Catholic person, and to me, God, Jesus Christ is my base, right? So my relationship, whether a person goes to church or not, I mean, it's always a great thing to go to church. It's a great thing to be able to have a place of worship and all those type of things. That's wonderful. But you have to have the relationship with something. You have to acknowledge that something is greater than you in order to be able to follow the rules, the ideas of that being, of that entity. And if you do that, then all of a sudden, now you receive the forces of the universe, the things that God can give you, to be able to help you with that. But the biggest thing too is that you're not out of control. When you believe you are the God, when you believe you are the person, and there's a lot of people who believe they're the God. They may not say it, but this is how they actually behave. They believe they're God. Therefore, they're not going to try to listen to any sort of rules. I mean, they feel they make up the rules, so they don't have to follow any kind of rules like that. And so what ends up happening is that they do all these things, and then they figure out, well, there is some consequences of things they can't control. And so you see this a lot with our disasters we're having right now in California and all the things that are happening. If you do certain things, you're not going to be protected from things that are happening. And you see this all kinds of stuff that's going on out there right now. And it's because a lot of times you're not preparing. So one of the ways you can prepare when it comes to temptation is to get in a relationship with God. That's the first type of seed. Like I said, we all have different types of ideas of God and Creator, and the idea is that you're close to that Creator. Because when you're close to that Creator and you're one-to-one with that Creator, and that Creator is within you, then all of a sudden, now you're looking at being able to have a little bit of power within yourself to fight these temptations. So you got to have that base. You got to have that good seed. The other good seed then comes from the fact that you're practicing types of things that are leading you better to more self-control. Self-control is the base of what you're looking at. Now, Kendler's book talks about how we can do exercises to go ahead and create a fountain of youth, which I've used since 1998. But the number 6, which is the one he doesn't focus on as much right away, but brings in later in the book, is talking really more about semen retention, transmuting semen retention. Semen retention, semen is really, to me, and however you want to call it, the energy force, whatever, is your fountain of youth. It makes you stronger. It also makes you be able to fight temptation more, and it gets you closer to God. It gets closer to your Creator. That's the key. All those things work in harmony when you're able to not expend all of this energy that God has given you, but transmuting it to make yourself stronger within your body. And we've talked about transmuting different things and how to do that. And perhaps I'll do another video on that as time goes on as well for a lot of our newer subscribers. But you can probably look back at a lot of my older ones, and we can do that on channel. There's lots of they're talking about this idea. But this is where we talk about planting, as Miguel says, planting the seed. Putting the seed down so you're going to grow into a great big tree, a strong tree. But you can't have any of that if your seed is bad, the ground is bad, or what's happening. You're not going to grow that tree. The same thing applies to anything we do. If you don't have a strong foundation in working out and keeping in shape, you're not going to stay healthy. If you don't have a strong foundation in your practices, whether it's a football game or studying for a test or getting ready for a presentation, you're not going to be ready to do. So preparation is the key to avoid types of temptations. How do you get prepared? Well, you're strong with God, and then you start doing these behaviors. I think retention, keeping your semen, is the hardest of all. Even though you could probably classify drug abuse and alcoholism, all these things are probably close to 3, 4. But the key really is, can you control your behavior? A lot of these other things that you're talking about, whether it's gambling, whether it's overeating, they are connected in some regard to retention. And we've talked about this before. Even smoking, we'll do one on smoking pretty soon too. Smoking is related to semen retention. All these things happening because you're not keeping the energy inside. Something is missing in your system. You're not at peace because you've released all your energy. Now, I think I'm at over 1,600 days, something like that, and I feel unbelievable. The power is just unbelievable that I feel, and it's so much different. But I also feel a sense of peace and ideas, and the longer I do this, I think it's going to happen more and more and more, that you feel that you're really where you should be in the world. Now, things happen around. Do they get me upset? Yeah, I'm sure they get me upset at times. Do you feel like things are not always going your way? Sometimes it happens. Sure, that's going to happen. But how you handle it is different because you have that foundation. You're not going to be as anxious. Oh man, I was so anxious all the time. It was crazy, one little thing, I'd get worried about this and worry about that. And now I have no worries, very little worries at all. I mean, and at 63, to me, you know, there's a lot of things I could probably create that would be worrying. But because you have this foundation, every time you start doing that, something in the system, in your system, calms you down. And we'll talk about one. There's another one that you guys gave me a good topic on, calmness. I think it was, the Moromoraster, I think, gave me this one, calmness under semen retention. That is semen retention. Calmness that's one of the biggest benefits of semen retention, being calm and at peace. And again, this is what creates the attraction for women as well, because you're calm, you're relaxed, you're in yourself. And I think women see that, and it's because you're able to hold that energy. So by itself, the energy may not be getting the benefits, but there's a lot of other things this energy creates within you that can also help you gain benefits. And obviously calmness is one of those. And so when you talk about trying to, you know, plant that seed, you're talking about the temptation and relationship with God. And so all it starts. So you've got to create that seed. The other thing is that as you create that seed, the second part of this is that you're protecting yourself against the devil, right? Jesus went to, the devil, tried to get Jesus and entice Jesus for 40 days, and it didn't work. Jesus had that backbone, that energy that he did not get tempted, right? And that's the whole thing. The whole thing is when you're talking about temptation, we're always going to get tempted. But this is part of the struggle between good and evil that we have. And we have to be able to be on our toes, our battle, as I always call battle on, right? And I always talk about Warriors Unite, because we talk about this as a battle, because you always have to be on guard, because temptation can hit around any corner. The stronger you are with semen retention, the stronger you build your inner self, and the more faith, the more courage, the more clarity, calmness you will have, because you're sitting there keeping everything inside. God has given you, your Creator's given you all you need. Yes, we talk about, and I believed in the combination of science and health for a long time. And I still believe that God uses things for tools for us to help us. But in the bottom line, you have to believe that you're going to be helped by the Lord. If you have no belief in the Lord, I actually feel sorry for those who have no belief, because everything they believe is haphazard based on the universe, whatever the universe is in their mind. And in some ways, you could argue that the universe is just like God to some people, but it's a different type of feeling when you feel like someone is actually with you and on your side and helping you. That's a greater power than you have. That's why prayer and meditation is very powerful and important. So those things then end up helping you. Once you build that foundation, then you can sit there and, as I do, you take cold showers and you look now at your nutrition. I've lost, about 75, 80 pounds over the last, couple years. And a lot of it is because of the control that I now have that I did not have before. And the same thing then with obviously any kind of relationship behaviors, right? I've been happily married for many, many years, 31 years, and I'm not really interested in any kind of relationships except for just basic friendships. It is a very flattering type of thing, obviously. I think all of us men find it flattering in some ways when women are attracted to us. But the bottom line really is that you're doing it for a higher purpose. The women are wonderful. They compliment men compliment women. It's great. But the idea is that the basic thing in the long run is going to be your relationship with your God and your goals, your purposes, and the more you get better with yourself, all these things fall in place. But it's got to start with planting that good seed, which is your relationship with your Lord. And in my case, my Lord. In your case, could be your Creator, someone you feel like it's a higher being above you that's going to help you and you can talk with, and it's a real type of individual, maybe a bad word, but entity that you can actually kind of work with. So I think, Miguel, you make a great point. I appreciate a great comment, great analogy. So to sum up real fast, guys, when you're talking about planting the seed, you're planting something that's going to grow into something for a long time. My goal is 12 years. I think it's 1,600 days. I'm a little bit over 4 years or whatever it might be. I believe something like that. And, you know, I'm about 1/3 of the way there. So I have a lot of years. Hopefully I'll be doing broadcasts here, whatever this becomes. If it stays YouTube, that's great. If it does, it's something else. But somehow I'll reach out to all my great friends who are listening and viewing for many years to come still. And hopefully I will live for many years to come, as you guys will. And we'll be able to kind of see how impactful this is. And I really want to, you know, feel closer and closer to God all the time. Do I make mistakes? Yes, of course. We all make mistakes. Do I sin at times? Of course I do. So we have to kind of just make sure we're always on guard. The other point of this that's really important too is realizing that God, your creator, is important, is the most important type of thing in this whole process. And as you do this, it's important to realize that, you know, he will give you that strength through your energy. That's why you have that energy. That's why you're transmuting that energy. And like I said, we'll do another one on that at some point. So, you know, being tempted is not an easy thing. You know, you have to deal with that, and sometimes it blinds you. But having the good basis, having the good foundation, allows you to be strong and allows you to fight off that temptation. The armor, you know, the chest plate of God, the helmet, all those things are, though they're metaphors in many ways, what they really kind of focus on is looking at protecting you through all these energies that are coming at you. And as we talked about before, if you're thinking about people, they're thinking about you. And so you have to make sure that the thoughts you have are important. The other part of this, when we talk about temptation, is we talked about these four. You can allow the birds to fly over your head. I'm making an analogy here. Birds fly over your head, but you cannot let them nest in your head. So temptation, this is why I always talk about monk mode. Monk mode is not really giving any thought to women at all. I'm not talking about men because 99% of our audience is men. But when we're talking, and for women it would be the opposite. But for men, when we're talking about you're going to have women walking by, you're going to have women all over the place. Pictures here, pictures there. You have to not allow that to nest in your head. Once you start having those thoughts for a period of time, obviously those entities pick up on those things, and all of a sudden now the temptation is closer. You have to make sure that you try to prevent that. Is that very difficult? Yes, it's difficult. I've gone back and forth on monk mode. I've broken at times, had some streaks. My streaks with no-fap is continuous, which is wonderful. But the monk mode, I'm still working on. So I'm not totally happy with myself as well, because I'm still working on the monk mode thought pattern. And after you have all these years, 60-some years, 63 years, probably not 60, 50-some years of thought pattern, it's not easy to break. But that's the next key in the evolution for me to be able to kind of get to the next point. So when we talk about this in the long term, really, guys, is a key of trying to figure out what is it that I can do to block all this temptation, build a good foundation, build that good seed, and be able to become a high value man. The analogy that Miguel had here, plant a good tree. The tree really is you. The seed is your semen, and your faith in God, your relationship with God. You can't really have a bad seed, bad, ideas, temptations, things like that. You have to create the positive, the foundation of self-control, the foundation of faith, the foundation in having your creator, your God, in my case, Jesus Christ, to be able to be strong enough to actually fight off these things when the time comes. You're not going to get hit every minute. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden you go to a store or something like that, about ready to go in a store in a second here. You may get hit by something. Somebody comes by, a woman comes by, it's friendly, all of a sudden. You never know what happens. Now you got to stop. You got to behave, remember yourself. Okay, I'm moving on. I got to get things done and moving on. Not easy, but this is part of that monk mode idea. And if you do monk mode, it's the highest level, then you have to worry about those other things because they'll take care of themselves. But if you're, playing games at times, and I've done that myself as well, you have to be diligent. Continue on. So, as I said, continue on. All right, my friends, enough for today. I hope you guys have a great Sunday. Please make sure that you're sitting and talking, meditating, praying to your Creator, your God, in my case, once again, Jesus Christ, and making sure you continue that relationship as time goes on and continue to retain, continue to practice it. You may fall off release at times, go back and start again and start the process. This is a lifelong type of thing. This is a lifestyle. Got nothing to do with streaks, even though we talk about them. I can't remember how many specific days I have, but the idea is that it's a lifestyle. You adopt a lifestyle, you're going to be better off. The streaks don't matter at that point because you've made a commitment. This is the way I'm going to be. All right, my friends, have a great Sunday. God bless you guys. And remember two things. One, every day, today is a good example, is a new day and a great day for a great warrior. I really messed that one up, right? And secondly, we have to continue to get this battle, because what we're doing is fighting this temptation with the armor we have, the swords we have, to make sure that we're fighting a battle, and we continue to battle on! Have a great day, my friends. God bless you guys, each and every one of you guys.